Epstein file controversy is ripping through the MAGA world, fueling outrage and deepening divides. California Congressman Ted Lieu is front and center of this fight, demanding the client list be released. He is calling for Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Justice Department to release the files as soon as possible and, quote, not protect pedophiles. The congressman isn't just fighting for Epstein transparency, though. He's also battling to defend California's sanctuary status, saying the military deployments by the Trump administration were always un-American. He is also sounding the alarm over Trump's Medicaid cuts, intent on making sure his voice is heard. Joining us from Capitol Hill is Representative Ted Lieu of California's 36th District. Congressman, thank you for joining us here on the Rush Hour.
Thank you, Giselle.
So the MAGA right, as you well know, up in arms over Trump's handling of the Epstein files. Speaker Mike Johnson is now urging members to delay any vote to release the files until September. You're pushing to release the list, asking, what is Pam Bondi hiding? What do you think is being covered up here, and what are you demanding?
In February of this year, Attorney General Pam Bondi went on national TV and said that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now. Where is that client list? Why doesn't Pam Bondi release it? The Attorney General of the United States should not be covering up for Jeffrey Epstein or his clients. And what we need to do is have the Epstein files released immediately. I note that the Republicans control Congress. They can issue a subpoena right now for those files. I don't know why they want to wait till September.
Well, you know, the president has ordered the Justice Department to release the grand jury testimony on the Epstein case, subject to court approval. But even MAGA loyalists are saying not enough. Is this dividing the MAGA right in ways you have not seen before?
I don't really follow the MAGA right. I do know, as a former prosecutor, that these grand jury documents are just a very small portion, very specific to a very specific case. The Epstein files are far broader than that. They're massive. The FBI and the Department of Justice has a lot of these files. And Attorney General Pam Bondi says she has Epstein's client list. She needs to release that. She should be protecting the rich and powerful and the wealthy.
So what is your next move then, Congressman? If the Epstein files stay sealed, how will you get Congress to force them open?
Right. Yeah. So I'm in the House Judiciary Committee, and we are asking the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, to issue a subpoena for those files, or at the very least, just hold a hearing and have Attorney General Pam Bondi come in and explain herself and explain to the American people why she said that the Epstein files were on her desk, and then now she's not releasing them.
Do you think you have enough Republican outrage to join you in a bipartisan effort to get these files released?
Yes, so there has been legislation introduced in Congress on a bipartisan basis to have the Epstein files be released, and that is the vote that Speaker Johnson wants to put off till September. We're in Congress this week in D.C. We should have that vote today.
All right, let me talk to you about Medicaid cuts. You said you can either re-elect the person who supports these cuts or you can elect a Democrat to restore them. Is this your winning message, to take back the House in the midterms?
It's definitely one of the messages. The big, ugly bill is going to throw off more than 10 million people from Medicaid. It's also going to use those purported savings to benefit billionaires and the super wealthy. That is not what we should be doing. We should be having tax policy that helps all Americans, not primarily benefited at the rich and wealthy. And we also have to have health care and make sure that not only do Medicaid recipients receive this, but that we lower premiums. And when you throw people off Medicaid, it's going to end up increasing health care premiums for everyone, because these folks are still going to get treated. They're just going to walk in the emergency room, and that's going to cost even more for everybody.
Yeah, but it looks like Medicaid is going to be cut, and for those who depend on it right now in your district, what can you do to ensure these people do not fall through the cracks?
So we have to fight to try to reverse the cuts. Republican Senator Josh Hawley last week introduced a bill to reverse some of the Medicaid cuts. I hope there's bipartisan support to do that. And by the way, the introduction of that bill really shows that House Republicans are lying when they said they didn't actually cut Medicaid. In fact, they did, because Republican Senator Josh Hawley introduced a bill to reverse the cuts.
I want to also ask you about these ICE raids here in Los Angeles. California's sanctuary status at risk. We're waiting on a federal court ruling on whether or not they will be allowed to continue. But there are activist congressmen who say right now they are not stopping. They are continuing. How worried should families be in L.A. tonight? And how can you make sure these raids stop until at least that ruling comes down?
The Department of Homeland Security is engaging in illegal activity in California. They are going to random parks and businesses like Home Depot and just routing up brown people. That is illegal. In order to arrest someone, you need probable cause. To detain someone, you need something called reasonable suspicion. You cannot use race as a basis for either probable cause or reasonable suspicion. And a federal judge has now said so. A federal judge has said that these mass immigration raids are illegal, and so we hope that the Department of Homeland Security will stop engaging in this illegal behavior, and we've got the court rulings to back it up, and hopefully they'll be upheld on appeal as well.
Right, and we've seen recent troop withdrawals, as you know, from our streets. 700 Marines today, 2,000 National Guard troops last week. 2,000 Guard troops, however, remain in L.A. You've called this deployment needlessly provocative. We're awaiting court orders to see if the president exceeded his authority by taking control of the Guard away from the state. What do you think is going to happen here, and what is at risk?
This was a political stunt by Donald Trump to deploy Marines against Americans in Los Angeles, to deploy the California National Guard against the wishes of the California governor. And the reason we know it's a political stunt is because they had nothing to do. There was literally nothing for them to do because everything that the president was talking about was not happening. And so they were just standing around doing nothing. And now you see at least 2,700 of them being sent away.
Congressman Ted Lieu from California's 36th District, thank you for joining us here on the Rush Hour and weighing in on all these many, many issues impacting our state. Thank you very much.
Thank you.